Hey everybody, welcome to Bearded Baker Banter on this beautiful Friday morning as we look at last night's opening NFL kickoff and dive right into the NFL weekend. Week one, Trent, welcome.
What a beautiful, beautiful feeling of, you know, leaving work, ride home, stop at the grocery store, grab a couple snacks, and just know that you're going to get home, sit your butt on the couch, watch the NFL pregame show, and then let it begin.
Let
What
it
a great
begin.
feeling. What a
Dude, we've waited a
goodness.
long time.
The only thing better, the only thing better is that countdown on NFL Red Zone channel. Like I literally,
Oh yeah,
I literally stand in front of my TV like a little kid
right.
watching that thing count down. And,
Like-
I'll turn it on with like a minute and a half left, and my wife is just sitting there being like, "Are you kidding me right now?" And no, I'm not. I'm that excited. So,
Yeah.
so let me start off by just saying, Dan Campbell, wow.
Yeah.
It might not turn out the way that he hopes for his team, but that man needs a wheelbarrow to carry his boys around with that fake punt from his own 10. Like, you kidding me?
Dude, I've seen, I think it might have been Barstool, but I right away immediately thought of that South Park meme, carrying a wheelbarrow around.
Hey, he set the tone.
Yeah.
He set the tone for his, I guess his culture, right?
Yeah.
His culture is grit. His culture is, hard hat type of mentality, go to work. And I'll tell you what, that right there showed his players, I ain't playing. Let's go.
Yep.
Like this isn't the typical Lions. And
it wasn't like they kept their offense out there. They actually ran a fake punt.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's sometimes a little riskier, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And I must say so. I mean, we're 1-0.
Yeah.
First touchdown scoring props tonight.
Huge.
So yeah, I mean, I will just say, let alone, I hit 3 bets within the first quarter.
Yeah.
I hit the first touchdown score that was our pick with St. Brown. I took the early, if your team, you bet on a money line, gets up by 7 at all, you get it, it cashes right away.
Yep.
Smartest pick was to take the dog, right? It always is with that in case they get that first score.
Yeah, there was no value out of taking the Chiefs with that.
No, not at all. Not at all. And then, heck, I even took a little happy hour boost of St. Brown to have 15 or more receiving yards in the first quarter for plus 150. So I'll tell you what, first quarter of NFL, thank you.
Yeah.
Bankroll needed that.
So the golf had him going.
He did.
He had, a little slip. I mean, that turnover when they were driving, I mean, that really killed it,
For sure.
I mean, that was a little bit disappointing because I feel like if that might have been kind of that momentum swing, but the pendulum went the other way,
Yeah.
But, they did get a defensive touchdown. I think Collinsworth even mentioned, now I'm not a huge fan of his announcing, but he did mention, and if we run the tapes back to one of our draft episodes, the question was, who has some of the best drafts? And I did say the Detroit Lions, based on some of the rookies that they picked up, and they're showing out, man. They're showing out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to speak from the offensive side. That Laporta, he's going to be a force. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
And I just think that Hutchinson on defense is unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, the right tackle's been jumping off sides the entire night.
Yep.
I don't know how it doesn't get called. I don't know, the whole Lane Johnson move or whatnot, but it's you.
I think
Hutchinson,
J.J. Watt even tweeted about it too.
Oh, it's a joke, but I mean, I'll tell you what, Hutchinson is going to be. I mean, he's going to be a force to reckon with for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
Not too fond of the mic'd up parents type deal tonight, but it is what it is.
A little interesting.
Kind of weird.
Not gonna lie, the times that they did it, I actually thought they were mic'd up with Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Like they literally sounded exactly like Dan Campbell, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Nope, not him. Yeah, that was interesting. But I also would say, on the other hand, too, from the Kansas City Chiefs standpoint, they missed Kelsey. They're not the same team without him.
Yeah, but so I get that part, but my thought is the Chiefs defense looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, better. Well, yeah. Initially, I was like, oh boy, but yeah,
defenses are usually ahead of offenses at this time of year. But
yeah.
man, if you throw a Chris Jones in that mix now, this Chiefs defense they're tough.
He's there sitting watching the game. How awkward is that?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That is weird. That is weird. But, all right. Well, hey, why don't we? What do you say we get into what we're looking into this opening weekend of the NFL? Right.
Absolutely. Couple things.
So here's the thing is we're not going to have any 49er hate.
Nope.
And we're not going to get any unreasonable mispronunciation of names.
Right.
Due to Trey not being able to join us tonight. Yep. But you know what? I got a lot of things I'm looking forward to to discuss in terms of opening lines and even a prop that I like to always dabble with throughout the NFL season.
It's a tough week. I mean, week one's tough with any sport, but if you really look at some of the matchups too, there's a lot of question marks I have, especially a lot of them revolve around rookie quarterbacks. And it's what are they going to, show up and look like against certain teams? It's a tough week in terms of pick 'em. I would say definitely if you're going to go money line versus a spread, I would definitely pick some sort of spread of some sort. Personally, I'm a big fan of the overs and unders, especially in the first couple weeks early because you're not worried about teams. You're either just looking for points or a ton of defense. So that's
just tough. It's tough to cap that. Man. Yeah, it's tough. It's like we say in baseball, full games. There's so many variables that go into it.
Yep.
And I feel like of all sports, NFL football is one that the games just conveniently end so close to the actual spread.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually what has made me sometimes be they joke right now about the script.
Oh, I know.
In these commercials.
You can't help but wonder how much truth to it.
Yeah, because we joke about it, but then it's also okay, you're just flaunting it. But I'm week one is tough. Yeah. So I will start us off, Ty, if you want me to go with my favorite spread. I'm not saying this is going to be my recipe pick on Sunday or anything, but my favorite line that I had. And I actually took this a little bit earlier. As a matter of fact, maybe some call me a degenerate, but I took a week one spread about 2 weeks ago. I am, and you know what? I'm not. I love this team, but I'm not very confident in how well they do this year. And I'm actually on my Raiders this week.
Okay.
In Denver, +4.
+4.
+4. Okay. They're dogs. I'm not taking them to win outright, but I'm taking them to cover. Yes, that is where I placed it. I placed it on FanDuel. Like I said, the line's moved a little bit at this point, but I just kind of look at some of the statistics of recent years. I mean, the Raiders right now, since Josh Jacobs has been there, right?
Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer Smith, or no?
Yeah, no, Josh Jacobs, Now the number 8 for the Silver and Black.
Is that what he's wearing now?
Contract. Yep, signed his contract, changed his jersey number.
Interesting.
But he actually announced that last year for fans.
Okay.
Just so they wouldn't buy his jersey, and because he felt bad, which I thought was respectable.
Oh, yeah.
But Josh Jacobs is 7-0 versus the Denver Broncos.
Interesting.
In those 7 games, he has rushed for 721 yards on 154 carries. So if you're doing the math quick, numbers, guys. Yep. Okay. 4.7 yards per carry. Look at that. They had their calculator ready to roll. And he also has 9 touchdowns and then 15 catches for 158 yards. So I'm just saying.
He kind of owns the Broncos a little bit.
I don't want to say it because the Broncos have had such good runs, but I mean, right now, I'm pretty confident. I think the Raiders can cover 4. I think they could steal the win.
Well, and did you see too? Jerry Jeudy, no surprise, is dealing with an injury too.
Yeah, and then Patrick's out for the season already too. Who
Yeah,
was out all last season.
I feel like I don't know if Jerry Judy's ever actually played a full season. I feel like he's been a name that's been out there that Jerry Judy, take him, and in fantasy, and every year he gets hurt like either immediately or like the first 2 games. So
Yeah,
not sold on him. But yeah, that's you said +4 for the Raiders.
+4 for the Raiders. I'm going because you know what I know it's Jimmy G's first year with the Raiders.
Loves to win.
I thought it was a lateral move. I know you love the move, but he knows that system, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You got some dogs there. The only thing holding me back is that defense.
Well, you remember too. You mentioned the system with Jimmy G. Is when Jimmy G did come in for Tom Brady. I mean, he was undefeated.
Yeah, before he got injured.
Yeah.
In New England. Yeah.
So
it's true. So I'm on board. I'm rocking my silver and black.
All right.
This week. I mean, I was going to regardless, and people could call me out and say, you said they're going to be bad, but you know what? You know it, man. I'm going to always cheer them on. And don't get me wrong. I'd like to crash for Caleb Williams, because he would leave or he would enter the draft if the Raiders were sitting atop that number.
You think he would?
Pick. Yeah. The only team he doesn't want to go to right now
Cardinals.
is 100% the Cardinals, because I mean, you followed Kyler Murray's footsteps in Oklahoma, and now what are you going to do? You're going to follow him in Arizona? I don't get it, but.
They're not very big footsteps.
No, little tiny footsteps. But they're quick. Those are quick footsteps.
Little Kyler steps.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my favorite line, Ty. What are you eyeballing up here?
My favorite line, and I know a lot of it revolves around Joe Burrow's health. But I'm looking at the Bengals are -1.5 against the Browns. I'm a guy that's not sold on the Browns at all. I don't think Deshaun Watson. I think he's kind of past his prime. But again, I know a lot of it rides on Joe Burrow's health, and if he plays, I don't know. Have you seen any reports? I know he's been practicing again.
He's going today. It came out. He not just signed his extension. His quote was, "I'm good to go."
Yeah, I mean, getting his money. I don't know. So I'm on the Bengals spread at -1.5. As long as Burrow's healthy. I mean, that team's. I'm like I said. I'm trying to find out why they're -1.5. Can't figure it out, but that's the line I'm on. I think Burrow. I think Chase. I think they're going to be all right.
I think people are just really high on the Browns this year for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that either.
Maybe it's a full year with Deshaun Watson, and everyone thinks he's gonna
save it.
Just come back in where he left off.
Yeah.
That was not a massage joke. But seriously, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so let me ask you, Ty, for people that are like a casual person in terms of maybe they only start to get involved in gambling during the NFL season, would you still recommend the 1.5, or which is -115, or would you just take straight up money line, which is -126? I mean, that.
I'm taking the 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many wonky things that could happen with spreads and everything else. That 1.5, I feel okay with. It is a little bit of a better value than the -126. I think right now it's at -115. That's a FanDuel line. On DraftKings, they actually have the Bengals at -2.5 for -110. So
okay,
I would also take that as well, just because it's still under that 3-point threshold kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, Bengals, Browns. I don't know. Another game that I'm kind of keeping my eye on is, I can't find it, is the Ravens game. So I think the Ravens will be an interesting team to see this week. Just because, I mean, their matchup's going to be very interesting to me. You got, trying to find the entire schedule here. You got Lamar Jackson coming back off an injury. He hasn't played in a very long time, to be honest with you. But I do
He
think
was paid. He was
he
paid.
was paid. I don't like that spread at 9.5. Or I think even one of them's 10 for the Ravens.
I see. Hey, I'm seeing 10.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
don't. I don't like that. But I, I'm still not sold on the quarterback situation in Houston. Love D'Amico Ryan's. I think their defense will be stellar. But from a money line standpoint, I would go with the Ravens this week in terms of my pick. So
Yeah,
that's where
yeah.
I'm at. But
They were my pick in the pool.
as were mine.
Yes, we do not a suicide pool, but a double elimination pool. I was all over them. I was all over. I also think the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to do it, man.
Yeah, that's
I
an
really
interesting
do.
one. The other one I heard some people talking about too was Jacksonville,
Yeah.
and that was one.
So can I? You kind of segue to me. Can
Sure.
I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Unless you want to take it first,
No,
but
hop on your Segway and come on over here, Paul Blart.
hey, I like that. That was good. That was good. Peanut blart and jelly, right? Okay. So what I don't like about kind of like the not just this game, but overall week one is how many in division rivalries
Yeah.
there are.
Yeah.
I mean, this game itself, you got Colts, Jaguars. You know, they're a rivalry in their division.
Mhm.
I'm looking at Cowboys, Giants. I think it is.
Yep.
I mean, even Raiders, Broncos, which we talked about earlier. That's what makes it tough because really, those games can go really either way.
Even
I mean, I know
Bears
every game,
Packers.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Bears are Bears are the favorites there. So
Yeah.
that's something you don't see often. But guess that's what happens when you lose a Hall of Fame quarterback. But so my thought is with the Jacksonville Colts is 4.5 is such a freaking that's a tough line because
Yeah.
you're not even going to get like the 4.24-20 game. You're not going to get I mean that's why they're bookmakers, but
Right.
that's why they make it so difficult on you. But I love it. I mean, I love how tough it is.
Yeah.
I guess to say, but I will not touch that line because I mean I'm all over the Jaguars, right? You guys kind of gave me a hard time a little bit. Well, not so much that it was more of the Lions that you guys gave me a hard time about. But yeah, I'm all over the Jags winning.
Yeah.
But I can't touch 4.5. I can't touch them winning about
again. That's kind of one of those teams though. The Colts is like with so many question marks. I know I've kind of joked and not joked, but also kind of serious that I think Richardson could be one of the better quarterbacks that comes out of that rookie class this year. I mean, I kind of go to the point of the fact that I think it's their coach that I think if he can utilize Richardson the way that, say, he used Hurts in Philly, and Richardson's a lot bigger. I mean,
Yeah.
and you can make the argument too. Hurts hasn't always been the most accurate, which I know that's a Richardson thing as well. But I'll be interested to see. But
I'm not sold. I'm not sold on his ability to throw the ball yet.
right,
Like from what I saw at Florida, like yeah, he knocked off one of my favorite teams. Not my favorite team yet, but they knocked off Utah in week one
yeah,
of last year's game. But then it's like everyone started to jump on Florida, and then you watched a couple games where it's like, man, Richardson can't even throw a pitch and catch on the on a bootleg.
yeah.
So I'm anxious to see. That's definitely a project. There's an upside with his athleticism, but it's a project in terms of throwing the ball. So I'm that's one game I won't touch, and that kind of goes also, Tyler, not just rivalries, but how many. I mean, what is it? How many rookie quarterbacks are starting this year?
Yeah, lots.
Week one, you got Stroud.
Yep. Young.
You got Young, and now you got Richardson. And is there? I don't know if there is anymore.
No,
not Levis. I mean, he's
Levis
definitely not.
Isn't, yeah. I think
But
Tannehill's
still
there.
all three of them are starting. So and you know what? I even would say, as much as Trey might hop on and hate on this, but I consider Love to be a rookie. I really do. I mean, it's not a true rookie, but
He's an Aaron Rodgers rookie.
Yes. So there's definitely some, and Sam Howell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm
Yep.
just waiting for Trey's Howell, but it's not there.
No.
But Sam Howell too. So there is a lot of, I guess, or there is a lot of lack. I don't know if that makes sense. Lack of experience
Yeah.
at the quarterback position. So, these lines are tough, and that is why, if I'm going to take an NFL bet, more than likely I'm going to take a prop.
Yeah.
So,
which I guess we could kind of segue into that then, Trent, if you want to talk about some of your props.
sure.
Something that you look at for NFL. I know I've kind of attached myself to some of the props, that you've also put out there as well. But I think very similar to baseball, if you can find your niche with some sort of football play, sometimes makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what prop bets you look at when you're putting some NFL bets out there?
So the props that I look for, or I should say the one that I really enjoy, getting kind of, I don't want to say cap, because NFL is really tough to quote unquote cap.
Yeah.
But I really truly enjoy the passing attempts prop for quarterbacks. I love to. The key to this is you find games that the point total is set pretty high.
Yeah.
Because if it's set pretty high, it's very rare that the books miss completely on a high point total.
Right.
So it's mentioning shootout. You also want to try your best to avoid a heavy favorite versus a heavy underdog.
Mm-hmm.
I know some would say, well, they're going to be playing from behind, so wouldn't they throw more? Not always the case.
Right.
Sometimes it's such a bad blowout that you really, and it's so many 3 and outs, that you really don't get long possessions. So you really got to be smart with the quarterbacks that you pick.
Yeah.
For that prop. So you look for games that are going to be super competitive, that the ball's going to be chucked around quite often, or the teams that love to throw the little dips and dunks all over the place. I will tell you right now, to the guy that I probably would say I think is sometimes the best early on in the season, because he doesn't get a lot of respect as a passer, surprisingly, is Kirk Cousins.
Huh. In terms
Kirk
of attempts?
Cousins. Yes.
Okay.
He always starts out where if you get him for 33 and a half.
Yeah.
32, 33 and a half, I'm taking him every time. It's when you start getting up to like 35 and a half, 36 and a half, it's very rare that I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So that's my prop that I look at. I know early on last year, I was actually on the Tua bandwagon too with his passing attempts.
Yeah.
But then injuries set in. I think they were really, when he did play, when he came back for a period of time, it was more of like, let's try to run the ball.
Yeah. Totally.
And plus he's injury prone, so you gotta be careful with that too.
Yeah.
That's where props in the NFL really stink.
Oh yeah.
Is injuries.
That's prop wise that I kind of, like I said, I like to look at running backs, but not number 1 running backs. I like to look at like number 2 running backs.
Yeah.
Or, kind of teams that use that 1-2 punch, because usually if you have a guy that's technically a 2, especially in this day and age with running backs, I like to look at their attempts of rushes, but I also like to look at their yards.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to one of the plays I almost made my pick was I was looking at this Gibbs from Detroit, and I think his yards might have been like 21 and a half. And I'm like, man, like, who are the Lions this year? Are they going to be, a team that runs it down your throat? Are they going to have Goff sit back and pass? And I think this Gibbs guy proved, that he's legit. You know, so that was one I almost took it. I was like, I couldn't pull the trigger on that just yet. So looking at that second back in the backfield again, sometimes rushes or rush attempts even.
I like it because you're right. They can get much more action than maybe the books anticipate. You're
totally
right.
Yeah, and I think the number 1s usually get capped a little bit high, and if they're not hitting it, and then number 2s is coming in and they're just getting the ball, and sometimes you even get a number 2 that's your third down guy. where he
Yeah.
might get 3 carries around a goal line on a first down or something. You know what I mean? It's like their
Yeah.
attempts might be maybe sitting at 7.5, 8. It's like, all right.
Yep. Tyler, can I, before we wrap up NFL and maybe
Yep.
transition here to college, can I put you kind of on the spot here?
Sure.
And I don't want point spread. I want overall straight up upset.
Okay. Upset.
What is one upset that you are predicting will happen in week 1?
Upset. So it's a team that's got to be a dog in the books.
Dog in the books and is going to knock off the favorite. Money line.
I'm going to say the Tennessee Titans knock off the Saints.
Tennessee Titans knock off the Saints. I love it.
Honestly, that just goes to the Braves.
Yeah.
I think he's freaking awesome. So, yeah, I'm
Okay.
going with that. Yeah, that's my upset of the week. Keep an eye out, too. We are going to put an NFL board out. Very similar to our MLB boards where we each pick a favorite. We each pick a dog. We take an over that we like and under that we like. So we'll put that out hopefully Sunday morning-ish. Start early afternoon before the game starts. So check it out. Keep an eye out for that. But, yeah, so that takes us through the NFL at least. Just a little dabble. Well, obviously I have a lot more to talk about next week after we get this full slate of games. So let's dive into college football. I think we should start with some recap from week 1.
Yes.
There was obviously some big games. There were some big upsets. I think some big downfalls of some teams that just didn't show up, or maybe they won't show up this year. So I know one of my college football playoff teams is already eliminated. So there's that whole thing.
Was that Clemson?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, who'd they lose to, Ty?
Yeah, I know who they lost to.
No, who'd they? Come on, say it for the listeners.
Yeah.
Say it for the listeners.
Oh, Duke.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Duke
Yeah.
is the answer. And by the way, what was I on? Over 20 and a half points by Duke, correct?
Yeah, I think it was 20.5.
Darn
Or was it
right,
22.5?
man. It was 20 and a half.
Okay.
Over 20 and a half points, and they hit it with a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I know. That was nuts. It was almost like they're like, hey, Beer to Baker Bets. Know what you took. Yeah, no, that was pretty. And I'll tell you what, that quarterback from Duke looked damn good.
Yeah.
So he's legit. I know he's a name that's actually being kind of in talks right now, too, from prospects. So,
yeah,
just from that game itself. But
so I do agree, though, with your assessment. Clemson, done.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson, done. Can I give you I think this surprised me an awful lot because I'm usually not really fond of this, but Pac-12.
Yeah, undefeated,
through
right?
Through week 0, week 1, they are 13-0. 13-0, okay? That's a shock to me.
Like, how do you assess that, though? And it kind of pisses me off because here you are, you're depleting a conference.
Yep.
Right? Your entire conference went undefeated. Like, I don't know. It pisses me off.
Yeah. What are you mad about? You're mad about the fact that they are, like, pretty much done? Like, they're folding?
Yeah, I am. That's what angers me because I think you have a lot of solid teams in there, obviously. And because some of them played some pretty tough games. And I think, we'll look at Colorado, against TCU. I mean, there is a lot of tough matchups for some of those Pac-12 teams, and to come out undefeated, and it's just like I don't know. I don't think it's a good look for college football, in the sense of them all going undefeated.
I think right now the NCAA is on the verge of, and this is another discussion for another time, but I think the NCAA as a whole is on the brink of collapsing.
Yeah.
I know that might sound crazy to some people because it's like one of those things that's too big to collapse or whatnot. But they're kind of losing control of a lot. And then what's going to happen is they're going to literally go to people that can't control or manage a country for help,
Yeah.
and they're just going to make the goddamn thing worse. Probably find a way to put money in their pockets. You know what I mean? So
That's what I mean. So, well,
sorry,
especially
I won't mix politics and sports. I apologize,
but it's especially
it's
though
the
the fact that now you got NIL stuff. Are you're not amateur athletes anymore?
No.
You know, you're making millions of dollars. Some kids are making millions of dollars. It's like, I don't know. I mean, what is the purpose of the NCAA now besides just being a league? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're just like any other league now. It's like your NBA, your NFL, your MLB. Like, you're just a league. Yeah. So the purpose of it, I don't understand. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. That is something to think about. I'd like to dive into another point, but yeah. So
I want to talk about my next headline, if I can.
Headline, like from week 1?
Yep. I've got 2 more things. Well, one, this is a quick one. Was Texas looked awful, in my opinion, versus Rice, but that was totally because they were looking ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Alabama.
Totally looking ahead.
Yeah.
But to Alabama this week, which they're 7-point dogs. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
But the big takeaway to me was UNC with a defense could be scary.
Oh, yeah.
I could be way off. If you guys recall in our college football episode, I said UNC will look really good early, but then they'll have their mid to late season collapse because their defense won't be able to hold up.
Yeah.
Drake May is real. He's a Heisman candidate. He should be a top 3 draft pick next year. But now, here's my question to you, because I don't know if you saw this little spicy piece of content floating on the internet. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
And I'm just going to name drop right here. Ready? Freddie Kitchens.
Okay.
He was coaching for South Carolina last season.
Okay.
As like an offensive consultant.
Was he the Browns guy at one point?
Yep. Browns head coach.
Okay.
He is now on the UNC staff.
Huh.
And their defensive lineman was quoted as saying they tipped their hand throughout the entire game. It felt like we always knew when they were going to be passing the ball.
Yeah.
And Freddie Kitchens just got interviewed and kind of played it off as like, no. Like every team does that, you know.
Right.
You find tendencies or whatnot. But then he couldn't help himself at the end of the interview saying, well, you know, it is what it is. And then he just kind of cut himself off in the interview. But totally, like, wanted to take a little bit of credit for saying, like, damn right I sat in the defensive staff meetings and said every single thing that they're going to do, you know?
Right.
So, who knows? I'm anxious to see, you know, what else comes out from that. But,
yeah. I will say, too, to North Carolina's point, they did take a little bit of time to get rolling.
Yeah.
It was close there for the first quarter and a half or so.
Yeah, maybe their defense, but I'm pretty sure, didn't they, like, wasn't their first punt in, like, the end of the third quarter, though?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, the game was tight for a little bit. I mean, it was like a 3-point game, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the game. I don't know. The game that surprised me, and I'll be the first one to admit I was wrong, was TCU Colorado. I was wrong about that. I know you guys were all on that.
No, I was not.
I think Colorado needs to find a defense pretty quickly. There was a couple. I mean, what's the deal with LSU, man? Do they suck? Like, are they going to be that bad, or is Florida State just that good? Because Florida State's another team I wasn't high on.
Yeah. I mean, it was at Florida State's home, so that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU lost this game last year due to a missed extra point, I believe.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm not bailing on LSU yet because I think they're still going to come out of their side. I believe is the East, I think, of I don't know if it's East or not. But, yeah, the SEC. So I'm not bailing on them by any means. However, obviously that unless they can get a win versus Georgia now, I mean, that's the only way they're getting in the playoff. So you got to win the SEC championship when it's all said and done. I mean, that's kind of if you win the SEC championship, you're gonna be in the playoff
Well, unless you're LSU with 2 losses last year.
Yeah. Well, but LSU lost it. They
Right.
lost to Georgia. Yeah. But yeah. So I don't know. I was way off on that LSU game. I actually had LSU, I think, in my playoff as well. But
Yeah.
I'm still sticking with it. They're going to knock off Georgia because Georgia's going to be unchallenged all year.
All year.
All year.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Anything else
So,
surprise-wise?
Not really. Not really. I think it's just so good to have that Saturday morning. Yeah, and I know I gave a little discussion about this before, but it feels so good to be able to wake up and just turn on game day and just know that, hey, my day is set full of college football.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And hey, we should probably start looking ahead to good old week 2, right?
Yeah, week 2 here. There's obviously one major glaring matchup that everybody's going to be looking to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what you had just talked about. So we are going to get into week 2 college football, but look what the cat drag did. There's another bearded Baker brother. Oh.
That's right. I'm sorry. Sorry for showing up late to the party, but
right.
Figured better late than never, right?
That's right.
This is weird. It's been the smoothest episode yet. I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of clunky now. What the heck's going on?
Yeah. Sorry if there are some terrible takes, and as I stated earlier, if any names get mispronounced.
That's right. You mean terrible takes like Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes beating TCU and covering? Is that?
Tyler, I'll let you respond here.
I don't have to respond. I already said I was wrong. I have no response. I said I was wrong about that game. But real quick, that does segue me into my week 2 look right now, is I want to talk about Colorado and I want to talk about the Nebraska game.
Oh, I can't. It makes me nervous looking at the spread. I just can't. I can't do it, man.
I think there's so much hype right now around Colorado. The fact that you jumped them all the way to 22.
Ooh.
All the way to 22. And I think there's going to be a lot of sad little people out there. That
Buffaloes.
Sad little cattle of buffaloes. Is that what it is? Cattle's a buffalo?
Yeah. I don't think so, but it's okay.
So, Ty, you're right. There is a ton of hype. I mean, they have 2 players in the Heisman watch now, and that's I think a little over the top. I mean, granted,
they go from a 1-win team last year to number 22 in the nation after 1 win.
Yeah, and I do think you're right. I think the 3-point, what are they, favorites, right, against Nebraska?
2.5.
Right?
Just
are they
dropped
favorites?
2.5. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They started as 7-point dogs. Just a heads up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think they're a little overcompensated now. That being said, I'm going to avoid that game because deep down, I'm going to be cheering for Colorado. I do like to see the underdog story a little bit, but the Nebraska game I don't like. I don't like that line. I think they are overcompensating, and there is way too much hype around Colorado after that win.
And that's the thing. Like, let me clarify. I am not betting that game at all, just because of how far off I was. I actually lost a parlay with TCU last week, and I took an alternate spread. And I just, there's too many questions yet for me with Colorado. I think Deion Sanders is a phenomenal salesman. He's a great salesman. I think
he's a showman. He's a showman,
but he's also a salesman because part of selling is showing. There you go. It's a quote.
Words of advice from
part of selling is showing.
Someday you're gonna see You're gonna see a bust of my head like Play-Doh. You're gonna see a bust of my head like Play-Doh, and it'll have part of the selling is to show.
Oh my goodness!
But no, I just the hype. I don't know. I am very interested in that game though. It's a noon game on Saturday, which is going to be a nice one to kind of dive into week 2 here of college football. But big game though. I think I had already mentioned before. Trey, you joined us. Was obviously everybody's looking at the Alabama-Texas game. any thoughts, input? I know we kind of talked about this as a big game earlier in our college football episode. I think we were all in Texas, right?
As I said, I know at least me and Trent were. I don't know what your stance was on
I
it.
joined the bandwagon, I think, at the end, too.
Yeah.
I think Ewers is a good quarterback. That game against Rice really surprised the crap out of me. So
I said it earlier, man.
I know.
They were 100% looking ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't help, but I'd almost guarantee no coach would ever admit to doing it. But you got a big game the next week against the number 3 team in the country. I'd almost guarantee that they were actually practicing against Alabama schemes.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and saying it's Rice. We're gonna cook them. But anyway,
and steam them.
Or fry them.
Okay.
There you go.
So how many ways can you cook rice?
I'm still gonna probably, because right now Texas +7. It looks like the line's gonna shift to potentially 7.5, 8.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing, but the one thing that I think I'm gonna go with, and I think I'm gonna take the over 53.5.
For that
That's
game?
what I'm. Yeah, I think if I'm gonna bet something, because it's gonna be
It's a primetime game.
A game. Yeah, a game that will piss me off is if I sit there and put money on Texas to cover. So not only do you lose on the Texas bet, but then Bama freaking wins and wins handedly. It's gonna drive me nuts. But Nick Saban, only 2 losses versus former head coaches. Former coaches on his staff. Sorry, and I believe both of them are to Kirby Smart. So I'm gonna go out there and say Steve Sarkisian's gonna be that 3rd loss in the column, but. It's not as confident because I thought Texas looked shaky, but I do think they were just completely prepping for this week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm still in Texas. I'm just wondering though. I mean, if let's say Alabama comes out and blows them out of the water.
Yeah.
All right, which could happen. Do we see Manning make an appearance, or does Manning make an appearance then next game?
If they can't move the ball in the first half or finish drives, I think Manning sees some time.
Okay.
Not saying they pull yours completely, but I think Manning sees some time here.
Yeah.
You gotta have a wrinkle up your sleeve for big games like this.
Yep.
Got to.
Yeah.
I agree. And Tyler, I'm with you. I'm going to take Texas with the points. I know Alabama. I think there was a report that some of their starting secondary members are actually a little beat up. Questionable for the game, which is a huge factor, I think.
Yes.
Granted, it is in Alabama. It's extremely tough to ever bet against Alabama.
Yeah.
But, I do think Texas has the hype. Trent, I kind of agree with you in the fact that Rice was just like a road bump in their way to this big game in week 2.
Or a speed bump.
Yeah, road bump, speed bump, one or the other.
Not a baby bump.
Yeah. But no, I am sticking true to what we said last week. I'm going Texas with the points, whether it's 7, 7.5. It'd be tough to take 6.5, but I'd probably think about it.
It's moving to 7.5 or 8 by Saturday.
Okay.
I'm telling you, right now +7 is -106.
It's definitely going to move.
It's going to move.
There's
It's
no
going to
doubt.
move in favor of Bama.
Whew.
Well, can I give you? You want me to rattle off some favorites here, or do you want me to talk about one by one of my favorites?
I mean, you can bring them up because there's a couple other games I still want to talk about too. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rattle off some stuff here. I know typically, guys, I'm a fan of this man, but my stat team helped me out here to share some information with you. Sam Hartman versus NC State. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
3 times in his career he played against them. They've lost 45-42. they've won 45-42, and they've lost 30-21.
Huh.
In those 3 starts, he has thrown a total of 6 interceptions. So some would say that Sam Hartman doesn't look good against NC State. However, Notre Dame -7, steal of the week.
You think so?
Steal of the week. Okay, you're going to find a theme here. All my picks are road favorites, and that is usually a terrible philosophy to be on. All right, but road favorites this week I'm all about. The reason being is, as much as you want to look at Sam Hartman against NC State, look at those point totals that Wake Forest defense was giving up. 30, 42, and 45 points, correct?
Yeah.
So, of course, he's going to have to throw an incredible amount to try to make up for that, right?
Okay.
So that's where you're going to probably have to force some plays downfield, force some things late. Hell, in 2 of the games, he almost threw 50 times. You now have an actual defense. You now have I'm not saying they didn't have a good run game at Wake Forest, but you got a really good run game with Notre Dame, an incredible offensive line at Notre Dame right now.
Yeah.
Their one guy in over 100 some pass sets has been given 1 pressure yet. So I am all aboard Notre Dame -7 this week. Sam Hartman continues his Heisman parade.
When you said you were going to notice something, yeah.
Take that back, because I messed up. Heisman campaign is what I meant to say.
I didn't even hear what you said.
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
We'll run the tape.
I said parade, and Trey said get your tickets here, okay?
That's because you said all aboard. I felt like you're a train conductor there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So, yeah, Notre Dame -7 is what I'm sitting on this weekend.
Trey, if you don't have one, I got something to bring up here too.
What, for favorites?
Just what you're looking at here.
Well, I'm going to add to Trent's philosophy of the road favorites trend this week, and I'm going to add one onto it, and that's Ole Miss -7 against Tulane. I think Tulane, not Tulane. No, but
I'm actually against you there on that trade.
Yeah,
I'm on Tulane with the hook, 7.5.
No, I just don't. I think Ole Miss is I mentioned it before. They have one of the best transfer portal recruiting classes, incoming class. I said portal weird, yeah, I know. But they have a lot of 4-star recruits, and I think that's pretty much their whole starting lineup on either side of the ball. And they have a good incoming recruiting class. They beat Mercer by 70 points. I know it's Mercer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Trent, guess who Tulane played, and they only won by 20 points? South Alabama.
They're better.
No, they aren't. No, they're not even close.
Well,
I bet you a beer that South Alabama finishes with a better record than Mercer this year.
Yeah, okay, but
I take it back. Mercer is freaking FCS, Trent.
That's not what I'm betting. That's FCS, not what I'm betting.
FCS.
Trent, what I'm saying is that Ole Miss handled business. Tulane got by against both subpar schools. Ole Miss is an SEC powerhouse. I think they're going to take it to Tulane by 20 plus points, and it knocks them out of the top 25 standings for the rest of the season.
Interestingly enough, this was the exact game I was looking at. However, I am not going anything spread-wise. I have the total points, and I am over. I got over 66.
Wow.
I think right now it sits at 66.5. I took 66 a couple days ago. It was really awkward putting it down on 66, but looking at what both those teams can do and looking how many points they can score, I think you might see a shootout. So
I like that though.
I often like to take Lane Kiffin's team with Ole Miss with his over stuff. A lot of times it's like either first half or second half over, but I like the over 66.
All right. here's my other. I like that, Ty. I like points scored. Tulane can score the ball too. I agree. But next two picks. You want me to rattle off two quick? You want me to go one by one here?
It's up to you. I got two more, but go ahead.
You want to go one by one? I'll go one by
Sure.
one. Okay, so my next one that I'm all over, sent this to you guys earlier in the week. Utah, -6.5 at Baylor. Once again, a road favorite. Baylor got knocked off by Texas State. Okay, and I know I'm taking this. I'm taking an L here. I said, be aware, Baylor could be a sneaky good team in the Big 12 this year. Wrong, way wrong. Baylor is playing with their backup quarterback. That's why if you go on the books right now, you're probably going to see the line has shifted to -7.5 for Utah. But I know Utah's also playing with a backup quarterback. Matter of fact, I should make that plural because they're kind of doing a 2-quarterback system. But I just like Utah's coach, and I like the defense there. They are always so good defensively with a solid run game, and that means you manage the clock. That means you will score more points in the end of the other team. So I'm on Utah, -6.5. Matter of fact, they're going to score at least 7 more points than Baylor.
Interesting. I'm looking at a rivalry game here with mine. Iowa State.
Okay.
Oh man, that was my next game, Tyler.
I mean, you can talk about it because I don't know. Part of me, it's hard not to take the under on this game, but then at the same time, I feel like that could be a little bit of a trap. So I actually stayed away completely from the over-unders in this, and I actually was able to grab Iowa, a team total over 19.5.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. So let me try this out here. Ready for this? This is going to be better than last week. That was my Hawkeye.
Mm.
It's better than your Falcon.
Yeah. My Falcon was a crow. But I'm Tyler. I love that pick. Love it. Trey, go ahead. Sorry.
Tyler, I'm with you. I was gonna say I usually bet Iowa unders all the time.
Yeah.
But I think that this is a little bit of a different Iowa team. I think Trent mentioned that with their quarterback McNamara. I think they threw 2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And it took them to their 5th game to throw 2 touchdowns last year or something like. So that's pretty crazy. But I'm gonna take Iowa with the points. I think it's at -3, -3.5. If you can get 3 and potentially get the push, I would absolutely take that no matter what the juice is. But I think this is a different Iowa team, and they still have the same Iowa defense, which is a great thing to have. I know last week the Iowa State Northern Iowa line was crazy. I think it dropped by like 11 points or something, or 13 points in a day. But I just don't. Oddly enough, ESPN, the matchup predictor, has Iowa State at a 57.5% chance to win this game.
Huh.
They're home.
Which
home.
I understand. I understand, but home doesn't. I don't know. Home doesn't win you football games. You have to perform no matter what.
Rivalry, is it really home?
It's the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
Hey Trey. Home is where you make it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
That's very true.
Trey, what'd you say, the Cy-Hawk or the Saluki?
Cy-Hawk.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, shut up.
Saluskis.
Lovely cabbage dish.
No, but yeah, I'm gonna go another trend, another away favorite in the Hawkeyes.
Okay. Well, let's tickets, as Trey said earlier. I am going another road favorite with my 3rd pick here, and this is going to be, guys, I'm like, I don't know, this is like one that if I lose this, if I'm wrong on this, I'm going to be very, very mind blown. But I believe Oregon, quack, is going to pound the Red Raiders of Texas Tech.
Ooh, interesting.
-6.5. I think Bo Nix is going to absolutely shred up Texas Tech. Texas Tech is coming off of a triple overtime. Yeah, double overtime loss at Wyoming. So holy cow! I'm on two. Look at this. Two of my three
at Wyoming,
picks
where the deer and the antelope play.
Yes, I believe so. They do. And the bison graze the fields. But I'm on two Pac-12 teams. I am on two Pac-12 teams, knocking off Big 12 teams. So I'm not sold. Texas Tech was picked a lot by many websites as to be second place in the Big 12. If that's the case, I mean, geez, it's not looking good for the Big 12.
You got
so I got Oregon minus 6.5 on the road at Texas Tech.
You do remember that back when we were doing our college football episode and we were talking about the Pac-12, and I said it was very interesting that nobody was talking about Oregon.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Agreed.
Like none of us brought it up. They weren't like in tops of any little list or anything. They're what? They're ranked 13th right now. Am I right?
Yep.
13. They're ranked 13th, and they hung 81 points last week.
Yep.
Like,
that's what.
Holy shit!
Taking it.
81 points. That'll be interesting. I mean, that does go back to that whole Pac-12 disaster that won't exist after this year, but
exactly undefeated 13-0.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Maybe everybody has a change of heart.
Yeah.
But
you just won't hear me talk this nicely about the Pac-12 during college basketball season. So enjoy it now.
No. Well, again, you got one more year left.
Hey, one more game. It's more of an underdog, I think, that's going to cover, and maybe not expected because they had a big win in last week. But I'm going to go Appalachian State plus. I'm seeing 19.5 to 20 against UNC.
Yep. Trey, I like that, and I was very close. I almost took him at 20.5, and I didn't. I wish I would have.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Appalachian State's got. Go ahead.
I saw 18.5 tonight.
Oh wow! So it's dropping.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm actually fading you on that.
I'm not. Well, hold on.
On
I might not have been on the 19.5. I think I might have been on the. What's the over on that one? 58.5. I think I might have been on the over. Total points. But no, I also have one more game too. I'm looking at A&M and Miami. I think that'll be an interesting game. I have them at 51, taking the over on that. Right now, I've also seen it 51.5. Trying to figure out why it's so low. I don't know. That's one of those where I'm not as confident as the other games, but definitely like that over 51.
So Ty, I see you taking the total points trend mainly on these college.
Yes.
So I was telling Trent, I mean, last night, Thursday night, my pick was Louisville, Murray State, and Louisville covered the 55.5 by themselves.
Wow.
I mean, it literally ended up being 56-0.
Jeez.
And so I was thankful for that.
Yeah.
Because what was funny was when I texted you guys about it, I had seen it already jump to 57.5, which I thought was very interesting. I was like within an hour of when I took the 55.5.
Yeah,
so.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it jumped. I mean, I think it did finish at about 56.5, but that game, the overs right now, it's kind of tough because especially in these early weeks, like these top teams are playing some, I'm not going to call them bad teams, but lower teams.
Right.
So when you take some of these overs, and I always try to if they were tied, right, at a decent score, what would it equal? And I try to start with 25-25. I'm like, all right, that's 50. I kind of branch it from there. All right, if you get 2 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, how many you score in a game, and you kind of even it out. And even today, I'm like, you know what? Yesterday with the Louisville stuff, I was like, well, I think if Louisville scores, 6 touchdowns, I think Murray State could score at least 2. I mean, that was not the case, but thankfully, you know what I mean? You try to account for some of these lower teams to at least score a touchdown and a field goal.
Right.
I mean, even, what was it? The West Virginia team total points, which thankfully we covered that and still got your bet too.
Yeah, somehow.
But you still owe me that chug, Trey, by the way.
Well, you owe me the chug too, so.
Chug.
Oh, no. I witnessed Tyler do it. You weren't there.
What? No, that's not true.
Yes, it's
No,
true.
you had plans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, something to keep an eye on, guys, and I mean, makes me nervous to do, but just a heads up about USC. USC is 13-3, Tyler, on the overs since the start of last season. So that's 13-3 on the overs. However, this week's over against Stanford is a little hefty at 69, nice, and a half points.
No.
Now, Trent, when you said nice, what do you mean?
It's a lot of points. It's a nice amount of
okay.
points.
All right, I was wondering.
Yes. Yeah. Get your mind out of the gutter. Jeez.
Dude, I'm having trouble with their spread. Is Stanford that bad that they're 29.5 dogs?
Yes, they're bad.
And Trent, it's not 69 anymore. It's on DraftKings. It's 70.
Ooh.
Not as nice, but
Not as nice.
No.
But
One less nice.
yeah.
Actually, one more nice.
Yeah.
I can't do math.
yeah. 25 plus 25 is 50. Thank you.
All right. It's like my baseline. I'm like, or actually, I don't even use 25. I think I use 24 and 24. I use 24 and 24 at 48 because it's 3 touchdowns and a field goal. And I'm like, all right, teams can, that's reasonable. And then I kind of go from there and look at the power of the offenses that are playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that will evolve. That will definitely evolve. I'm not going to sit here on total game overs. I've already been sprinkling into quarters and halves. So
once Maction starts, you got to take that pretty much like 35 plus 35 equals 70, which is totally realistic in a Maction matchup.
Oh yeah.
No, what you need to watch for is you need to
second
watch
half
for,
overs.
Well, no, Northern Illinois.
Second half, there it is.
Yeah, second half overs. Who do they even play this week? Ooh, Trey. The Salutskis.
Oh, there we go. No, I gotta put action on the game.
There's no line on it yet, so.
Okay.
But yeah, Northern Illinois, Southern Illinois. The game's being played in Illinois. Just kidding.
The battle for the battle for Middle Illinois.
All right. Well, anything else here to wrap up?
No, I think another week to look forward to. I mean, the problem for me is when the hell am I going to get off my couch? I'm sorry, but Saturday slate of football, Sunday full slate of football. Let it begin, boys. I can't wait. Right.
Best time of the year. I mean, this is right up there with March Madness for me.
Yeah.
The beginning of football season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, one last thing. Just make your pick. Don't have to give me reasoning why, but there is a UFC 293. Adesanya Strickland, Saturday night. Who you guys got?
Adesanya.
Trey?
I'm going to go Adesanya as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go Adesanya. I think, Trent, you had mentioned it when we were talking outside of the podcast, but disappointing that that's the matchup right now, but it is what it is. We'll see. So,
it's
Duplessis
strictly,
should have this, but
it's a filler. It's a filler to let Duplessis heal.
Then why do you make it a main event with Adesanya?
Because he's a champ. He'll sell pay-per-views.
And I was going to say.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not very excited about this card at all.
No, the card sucks.
Card's terrible.
Sucks. So don't buy it.
But, I'm not buying it.
No.
Yeah, it's Adesanya. I actually think there's a chance that. I mean, it's either over in the first. This doesn't sound totally like turn, but I think it's either over in the first round, or it's going to go and be one of the most boring fights ever, and it goes 5 rounds.
Five rounds. They don't touch each other.
By decision.
I think it goes to decision. Adesanya.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
I mean, guys, don't get me wrong. I would be excited if Adesanya loses. I know you guys are all bored with him, but
I'm not on board with him after that little display put on.
After his last little thing against Duplessis, man.
That was very like cringy.
Yeah.
Like I was
It
watching
was
that.
awkward.
A guy just won the biggest fight of his life, and you're gonna go there and just call him
And yell
a
at
slur,
Yeah.
a slur 50 times in a row in a packed out arena for what? And then I don't know. He just tried to look tough, and I think he looked really cringy and it was just a weird situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But all right, well, hey boys, happy week 1 of NFL football.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Week 2 NCAA football.
Yep.
Great time to be alive.
Hey, I got 3 words for you guys.
Baltimore Orioles baseball. No.
Go Pack, go. Oh, how do we feel about closing on that?
Not very good because Bosa got paid.
Oh, here we go.
paid.
That's good for my fantasy teams. I got the Niners in a lot of my fantasy leagues, so.
You should. As you should. Just be interested to see what happens with Chandler Jones and
Right? Chris Jones, right?
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, from Las
Chiefs.
Vegas too, man.
Tyler, I know what we need to end on. Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
You're gonna stop it right after this happens.
Oh boy.
Trey.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Howell.
How?